Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm gonna be doing something a bit different. Instead of my usual vehicle gameplay that you'll be watching over a voiceover, I'm going to be addressing some major concerns that Gaijin has to address for War Thunder. Of course, before I begin, I'm just gonna tell you guys that this is my personal opinion. If you disagree with anything or have something else to suggest, please leave it in the comments. And with that, let's get on with the first major issue. Of course, spawn camping. It is of course one of the few things that makes ground realistic or any form of ground very unenjoyable. Of course, this doesn't apply to people that wanna rush and get a kill or die, but rather a group of individuals that use the most cancerous vehicles or very low profile vehicles and just camp in one spot the whole game to basically farm free SL and ruin the whole match for people. It also adds to people who use bushes or even any form of camouflage that abuses the map they're playing, which makes it even more annoying. And we saw Gaijin trying to implement a feature where the border on your spawn is expanded so you can detect enemies in a larger radius, but it clearly doesn't work because people learned around the curve and just abuse another spot. The only way, in my opinion, to fix this is to completely remove bushes from the game, or make them fall off after a certain time, or just make the parts where people camp inaccessible. This would definitely fix the issue in my opinion for at least a little while and make ground game modes much more tolerable. Of course, people naturally try to abuse mechanics and maps, but fixing this would probably address one of the biggest issues ground game modes had for over the years. And honestly, it's a win-win for everybody, because there wouldn't be any more uncompetitive gameplay and boring matches, and the people who spawn camped and makes their whole personality about it would finally learn to play the game as you should. Now, moving on from this to the other biggest problem is of course close air support, or CAS. Now, I personally don't think it should be removed entirely as a lot of people say, but I think it should be very restricted, or at least completely unabusable. I will show clips here of me abusing CAS just for people who don't get it to completely understand the situation, because it's basically a guaranteed kill if you use the right vehicle. Now, the biggest area Gaijin has to address CAS is probably at any BR lower than 9.0. Why? Because a lot of anti-airs at that BR don't really kill all planes and take advantage of the tank they're using. Of course, I'm not calling people who use anti-airs unskillful, but a lot of people know how to dodge CAS and just get more kills silently. One of the methods people use that is very overpowered is turning off the engine when you're diving on an enemy, or dropping bombs from a medium altitude if you're precise enough. Of course, at BRs lower than 9.0 you will see a lot of variety in cannons and of course no radar. And to add insult to injury, there are practically infinite amount of premium aircraft that are designed for specific CAS duties, so it's not that easy to just buy a premium and spam it when you get one kill in your light tank. Now, the easiest fix will be to just increase the spawn point cost for every aircraft in your lineup, so it can't be one kill and you get a plane. Instead, maybe 2, 3, or maybe like 1000 points with full loadout, and then you could CAS. Because a lot of people just get one kill, die to someone or something, and go into CAS and just rearm, spam bombs, rearm, spam rockets, etc. Everyone knows Gaijin didn't really address an issue on this topic a lot, because they like to add even more planes for people to abuse, or even decrease vehicle BRs of some aircraft and just make them even more overpowered because people will buy them even more. Of course, it isn't just about the overpowered mechanic itself, but a lot of people generally insult each other and make a lot of horrible comments on people who spam CAS and use it, and it just makes the community even more divided and toxic than usual. Of course, many people know Gaijin doesn't really address issues when it comes to premium vehicles a lot because it makes them more money if they're overpowered, but I personally think that it will make the reputation of the game a bit better and make the gameplay more balanced. Speaking of unbalanced vehicles, overpowered premiums. We all know them, we have all faced them and probably bought one. But to people facing them that are free to play or just playing the game for fun, it isn't always fair or well managed by Gaijin. Of course, all aircraft that are in the game or any vehicle that is in the game in general operates on an algorithm. If Gaijin sees at the end of a certain month or certain week that a vehicle is a little bit more successful in win percentage over losses, the vehicle gets a major BR upgrade in the next BR change bracket. And same goes for vehicles that have a higher loss percentage over the win rates, so it gets a BR downgrade. Now I personally think this is the stupidest thing they have ever done, because it just means that if a lot of people buy a $80 premium, half of the player base will do good in it because they're experienced, and a lot of new players that just join the game and do bad will drag down the win percentage, meaning the vehicle just stays at its same BR. Now, it isn't easy to change something that's been in the game since the start, but I personally think that the algorithm should be a bit more advanced than it is. Gaijin should be able to implement a system where they can see basically the averages of the vehicle that's being played. For example, the average account level, the average win percentage of the account levels, and the average losses. So they could maybe analyze deeper and then change the BRs or nerf the vehicle, so it doesn't just stay in a limbo where it's constantly buffed, nerfed, and basically hated by the whole community for it. One of the main examples of this is the Wyvern. Of course, if you play the Wyvern, you will know how overpowered it is for both close air support and its fighter capabilities, and a lot of people generally do well in it. But the other half of the people who saw a YouTube short claiming the Wyvern is the best plane ever invented and added to the game just buy it for $30 and die every single match, which lowers the algorithm loss score and makes it so the average win rates drop a lot, leading to basically the vehicle staying at the same BR or, in worst cases, going down. Moving on, another thing that is small but generally a huge thing in the game is the sound design. Now, for all PC players, you will know the privilege of installing sound mods, but for the people playing on console, that privilege is removed. And same goes for basically any other form of device that isn't a PC. Now, almost all of the community agrees that the stock sounds Gaijin uses are pretty horrendous and unreliable, because they are basically washed down versions of things that they already changed. If you didn't know, Gaijin first changed the sound design of the game in 2018, where they completely added a new engine, a game engine, and completely just removed old mechanical sounds and the nature of the game, basically. They apparently did this to make the game more realistic, but if I can't hear a tank that is literally right next to me a lot of the times, then yeah, realistic. Now, the current sound design implementation in the game is basically what Gaijin used before, but add a lot of filters and a lot of random crap to make it sound very, very plasticky. And in my opinion, the only way to improve on it is to change it again. But maybe record fresh sounds from real life, from real vehicles, and just implement it in the game, because they did that in 2013 and it sounded amazing until they again did this. And it also makes it a bit fair to console players that are facing PC players which have a major sound advantage, Because again, stock sounds compared to realistic sound mods is basically like comparing a penny to $1,000,000. Moving on, Battle Pass and the Warbond shop. Now, a Battle Pass is basically mandatory in this game because, Gaijin, but the way it's implemented is just basic and stupid. So basically, you unlock a free vehicle in the free tier at maybe level 40 or 60, which again, considering that each level is 10 points and a task is basically 2 or 3 points unless it's a special task, which is 5 points, makes it insanely hard to grind. Not mentioning the fact that a lot of the tasks take time to master and to complete, meaning if you don't buy the premium version of it, which costs 2,500 golden eagles, you are basically never gonna get it. Alongside that, the vehicles they add in the free tier are basically either ships or low tier copy paste vehicles of existing tech tree ones that we have in the game. But if you buy the premium pass, which costs again 2,000 golden eagles for just unlocking it and 2,500 for boosting your levels to 150 points, you get a new vehicle to unlock alongside the free one, which is a rare, Gaijin market sellable vehicle that is at the very, very end of the battle pass, which is usually level 200 or 300 if I remember. It's usually a Gaijin market vehicle that you can sell, but you don't get the ability to sell it if you get it. Instead, if you want the coupon to be valid and to sell it on the Gaijin market, you have to grind out 100 more levels to obtain the coupon, which in my opinion is retarded. What makes it even worse is that sometimes the vehicles they add in the battle pass in the premium tree of it are copy paste vehicles or just uninteresting vehicles in general. And if a vehicle is unique and really unexpected, it does well in the Gaijin marketplace, and in that time people just don't grind it. And the regular players who don't buy the premium pass are stuck with a copy paste vehicle that they can just grind out normally. Now, of course, something logical that probably pleases everyone would be to just lower the prices of the premium pass. If they have to make it a premium pass, then lower the damn prices, because 2,500 golden eagles is like 25 euros, which, some people just can't afford every single month or every single 2 months. Or at least continually waste money on this game. They should definitely reduce the level costs to not be 10 points, or if it has to be 10 points, then at least the tasks you do daily should award more points. Not 2, not 3, maybe 5. So you can do 2 tasks to get 1 level a day, which doesn't sound too bad. And they should also remove useless items that are in the battle pass, like some useless decals or wagers. They should add more silver lions or even a 1 day of premium to free-to-play players. Just make it so people can actually grind it for a reason, not just get a free vehicle that you can easily get in the tech tree. Alongside this is the Warbond shop, which basically has crates that you can buy, which include vehicles, decals, currency, and that you can only unlock and then buy by completing the special tasks and grinding the battle pass. The battle pass and Warbond shop are connected, and to unlock the chest that makes you able to buy the crates you want that have the vehicles, they cost 3,600 Warbonds, which you can only get in the battle pass, and then on top of that they are locked at the highest level you have to unlock, basically rank 6 or rank 5 of the battle pass. It's an easy fix to just lower the costs and then change it, the whole strategic point of the battle pass and Warbond shop, because the Warbond shop has been in the game basically for years now, and they haven't changed one thing about it besides adding the same rewards and doing nothing else. And the last thing I want to talk about is a minor issue, but it's still a small thing that the community would appreciate. So a little while back, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when you wanted to register a War Thunder account on their website, on the Gaijin website, you could get 1 day of premium, a couple hundreds of thousands of SL, and a free premium vehicle. And if you were around that time, you could also register your own existing account and get the small rewards that Gaijin promised new players. What Gaijin did, instead of letting that 1 day, which is exactly €1 of premium time, so let's slide, they removed it the very same day that people wanted to, get the rewards. This proves how Gaijin are sometimes very, very greedy and don't allow this type of stuff to slide, and that should be just completely changed. The whole mentality has to change from that developer team, because if you can't give your community from time to time on maybe special holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, or even, Easter and Gaijin's own birthday, War Thunder's birthday, a small reward that wouldn't maybe scratch their asses to fucking let it be, they just don't do that. And World of Tanks and other popular games like World of Warships, they do give rewards to their players for special occasions. Gaijin has to this day never done it, unless it was a compensation reward for a bug, a modification change for a vehicle, or maybe even your money came back for a vehicle they removed. They also had the audacity to remove the Golden Eagle wager, which was the most easiest way to grind out Golden Eagles by a free-to-play player. Instead of spending money, you could actually grind it out and use it for something like a boost research, or boost researching a modification, or something even in the Warbond shop, in the item shop for the Golden Eagle chest they have there. They are very, very, very incompetent, and they have no shame in hiding it. They constantly change the economy. They constantly remove small things that, like I said, wouldn't bother them at all financially, and then make it even worse for us by calling it our problem. But yeah, that's basically it for what I wanted to say. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, leave a comment on what I should do next, because this takes a lot of time and I don't upload regularly because of, having a life. So yeah, see you next time.